So have you ever had a woman cause too much drama? I mean, who hasn't? Now, how about this one? Do you know what to do when a woman starts arguments with you out of nothing? How do you deal with women who've had emotional issues from past relationships? These are just some of the issues Darius talks about in his video, The Psychology of Ignoring a Woman. So if you have watched Darius's video, The Psychology of Ignoring a Woman, then I urge you to watch mine as well, because you could be making a big mistake and losing the women who are actually keepers. So find out what that is by watching to the end. If you're new to my channel, my name is Anna Jorgensen. Welcome to Just the Tip Tuesday. So first, I gotta give him kudos for starting with a very strong intro, which is essentially a lion and a lioness. And the lion is chilling like a villain, and because the lioness is getting ignored, she's all over him, which is an awesome metaphor. So Darius suggests that a lot of problems between men and women are because women create their own problems, and then men, being the rescuers, want to swoop in and fix those problems for women. So far, I totally agree. He goes on to say that even some good women will pull some stunts in relationships. And if you react emotionally, she wins, she gains control. So I really want to emphasize this point that he didn't really emphasize, but you need to know. Even healthy, emotionally healthy, high value women will sometimes have bad days and they'll pull some stunts that are not actually healthy, but that doesn't mean the whole of their being is worth throwing out. Nonetheless, Darius says that you must maintain emotional control and ignore her when she displays bad behavior. Because if you submit to her, you are teaching her what works. My little side note, just like a child. So if you give in to her demands, you lose control in the relationship. You also lose her respect, and she learns she can get away with bad behavior. A quote that he said that I really like, his quote is, "Stop getting emotional. Stop letting her actions dictate how you move and how you feel and how you think." He says to let her fix her own problems, or at least some of them, and create some of her own happiness. She will actually, side note from AJ, she will actually be a happier person to be with when she can learn how to create her own happiness and solve some of her own problems. Now you might think I'm agreeing with everything Darius has said so far, and you'd be right, but there's going to be a little tweak to something coming up that I just really want to emphasize. And he does say it in his video, but I really want to emphasize it in reviewing his video because it's so important, especially for the guys who go too far the other way and lose a good one. So stick with me. Darius also says that sometimes women do things to see how much they matter to you and how you'll react, which you might be familiar. I call that, well, everybody calls that, not everybody. A lot of people call that a shite test. And if you've ever had a woman angry at you and her reaction didn't seem warranted, or perhaps it was really exaggerated, then you really want to watch my video on how to handle her test, because ignoring is just one of the strategies that I give you in that video. Darius also says, stop trying to be a Dr. Phil, a psychiatrist for a woman. One of my viewers says, don't try to understand women, just love them. Couldn't agree more. But love yourself more. And my little extra input on the don't be a psychiatrist is that if you become a woman's emotional tampon, she'll lean on you, but she'll lose respect for you. And no respect equals no attraction, no arousal. Now, he also says that by ignoring a woman when she's trying to get you involved in her problems is also a kind thing to do, basically, because it's an opportunity for her to look in the mirror and start looking at what she's doing wrong and accept some accountability. Now, my little side note again is if you do want to help a woman become accountable for herself, especially when she's exhibiting bad behavior, whether it's your girlfriend or any other woman in society, I do have some suggestions for that. And if you're brave and or care enough, then you can check out my video on why women don't accept accountability and what you can do to help them accept accountability. Now, he also says don't be paying for the damage done to her by others in her past, especially other men. He says, if she's got an issue that doesn't affect you, ignore her. She'll be more interested in you if you do. Now, here's where I want to step in with a little tweak. If she's a high-value woman who's there for you when you're down about things that don't affect her, then she's probably going to expect, rightfully, the same consideration for her. Relationships are about teamwork, supporting each other. Now, if she's a damsel in distress and it's constant, she might be not the best teammate. But if she's actually a keeper and going through something that maybe you can help her with, then there are times when, yes, your help is welcome and respected, just like you would want her to actually make your troubles important. So maybe Darius is thinking about women who have the potential to have high value and aren't quite there yet. But you don't want to lose a really good one because you're ignoring her when you should be actually supporting her. I don't mean financially. So my little contribution here is if you do find a high value woman, you do not want to be treating her the same way you would treat a low value woman. Ignoring low value women, thumbs up. Ignoring high value women, thumbs down. But what he's generally getting at is to not be desperate and needy. Now, he also talks about how he's slept with many women the world over just by ignoring them. And that is a strategy that can definitely work if you just want to have a one-night relationship. If you are looking for a keeper, then ignoring a high-value woman is not going to work in your favor. Now, he also talks about how the ones that do give it up on the first go are basically trying to prove their worth to him by chasing him and getting him to be with them. Now, here's my extra tidbit. There is a correlation between high-value women and women who don't spread their legs easily. Now, that's not to say all high-value women will make you work for it, but there's a greater chance that a high-value woman will actually vet you to ensure you're worthy of her, just like you want her to be worthy of you, if she's got enough self-respect to wait to see if you're actually personality-wise, character-wise, traits-wise, goals-wise, beliefs and values-wise, a potential long-term candidate. She's not afraid that you're going to walk away because she doesn't give it up. If she doesn't give it up because she's really looking for Mr. Right forever, not just right now, then there's a greater chance she's a high-value woman. She's not afraid to lose you. Now, good news, if you're not looking for a long-term relationship, is that women, because of feminism, are giving it up a lot more readily. There are even young girls that are celebrating high body counts. So you just got to know the techniques and the strategies, because some of these young girls, they just want to put another tick on their list. You might be just a notch on the bedpost. My, have the tides turned, my friends. My, have they turned. But getting laid and getting a good girlfriend are two different things. And here's a harsh truth bomb you're not gonna love, but unless she's ready to hang up her hoe shoes, she's going to be low value for a long-term relationship. Darius also says, men who act like a woman's best friend don't get laid, aka emotional tampon. My little interjection here is that, yes, I agree 100%. If you become her emotional tampon before you've actually even gotten some, you're probably not going to get some. You're going to end up in the friend zone. So if you've been told you're such a nice guy, or you're too nice, or you're a people pleaser, or you do a lot of nice things, never get rewarded, and feel a little bit resentful about that, then you're definitely going to want to check out my nice guys video on why nice guys finish last and signs you are too nice. So Darius says to give her silence, because silence will cause her to reflect on what she's done or said and come back and apologize. And I say, if she's really legit done something wrong and you legit haven't, and she's not emotionally damaged, then this will actually happen. She will come back and apologize. If she doesn't, that's a red flag, and you don't want her anyway. And you have to be able to objectively look at if what she's done is really not a good thing, or if what you've done wrong really isn't that bad so that you can determine if you really have contributed to the situation. Really difficult to be objective when you're emotionally involved, but so necessary. So a lot of it depends on the situation, but if you're really not sure if she's damaged goods or a keeper, but you're in constant chaos with her, then I really think you should watch my When to Walk Away video. Now, he also notes that in order for this strategy, ignoring her, to work, she does have to have an attraction to you. Otherwise, it just won't work. And my note is, if she has pulled away or is pulling away, or has already kind of broken up or pulled away from you, then there's a big difference between chasing versus pursuing. And if you want to have a chance of getting her back, whether she's low value or high value, you want to be able to pursue, not chase. And if you want to know how to do that, then you're definitely going to want to check out my chasing versus pursuing video. He also says, do not react. Now, if he means do not react by simply ignoring, then I would say, let's massage that one a little bit. I would say, don't react, because a reaction comes from an emotional place, but do respond. Now, your response might be in ignoring her. Responding comes from a consideration place. You've thought it out and it's not coming from an emotional knee-jerk reaction. And as you probably know, it takes a very strong man to not react when a woman is triggered and or has triggered him. But if you can do that, if you can control your emotions, it's very attractive for a number of reasons. She may pull this stuff on other guys, but the way you handle it will determine if she considers you for a long-term relationship, unlike the other guys who failed in the past. Darius also suggests that if you feel like she's stringing you along, then you want to leave your text messages on read. In other words, you want her to see that you've seen it, but you're not replying. And instead, you're going to focus on the women who are engaging with you and showing real interest in you. And again, I agree with this. He says, not to force a woman to do what you want her to do. You're going to tell her one time and leave the ball in her court, which I also talk about in my chasing versus pursuing video. And he says, if you do these things, if you ignore her, the psychology of ignoring a woman, then you are going to feel more at peace and instead of bitter and frustrated. He says to only deal with the women who are cooperating and to ignore the women who are ignoring you or giving you a hard time. Totally agree. So my summary, overall, I agree with pretty much everything he said in his video. I just really wanted to emphasize a couple of things about not ignoring high value women just for the sake of it. But he has some pretty good tips, just the tip, and I give it a thumbs up. So yes, just heavy stress on don't ignore a woman who doesn't deserve it, especially if she's high value, because she's not going to stick around. A high value woman has a lot of options. And if you ignore her, guaranteed there's going to be an orbiter out there somewhere just waiting to get in the door so he can win her over. And if he's giving her the deserved attention, not the undeserved attention for bad behavior, but if another guy is ready and waiting to give her deserved attention because she is a high value woman and you don't step up, but you just completely ignore her, then she's not going to stick with you. You're going to lose her. And that would suck because there's not very many high value women out there these days, or at least they're hard to find. I acknowledge that. They're hard to find. So the key is to not feel needy or act needy or insecure. And I know that's a tall order, but it's necessary. And being bitter or insecure is not going to get you a high quality girlfriend if you want one. It'll only get you more suffering in the dating market. If you've at that point where you decided, I don't even want to try anymore, then you definitely want to watch my video, 5 reasons to stay single and 5 benefits of staying single. A lot of guys go about dating in the wrong way and they end up being alone or in bad relationships. And the key is obviously to attract a woman who is good for you. Now, I can show you how to attract women like this by making some simple changes about the way you go about in the dating scene. Then you won't have to use tactics like ignoring her because there'll be women you actually want to keep. However, before you rush into the dating game, you have to be sure you're in the right place to start. Otherwise, you'll be in for a rough ride, not a fun ride, which is what you're kind of aiming for, shooting for, so to speak. And whether you decide you want to make the effort to learn about women and understand women so that you can get a girlfriend or a long-term partner, I support you. And if you decide you just want to stay single either for now or forever, I support you. So whatever makes you happier truly happy, not fake happy, I support you. God bless.